Hello, and welcome to another TFA Teach-In. My name is George Dunn. I'm the Chief Executive of the Tenant Farmers Association and here to guide you through this session. These are short sessions which shine a spotlight on some of the key issues affecting the tenanted sector of agriculture and draw on the expertise of our specialist advisors who deal with these matters every day of the week. But before we begin, if you did find this video useful, please do leave us a comment below and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any future teach-ins when they are produced, or webinars and industry updates when we send them out from the TFA. This teach-in is kindly sponsored by Roythorns Solicitors, and I will say a little bit more about them in the later on in the video. Joining me today to discuss the important area of public rights of way and understanding what farmers are responsible for is Lynette Steel. She's one of our specialist policy advisors here at the TFA. And please note that this recording is being made in the summer of 2026. So the information discussed today is correct at the time of recording, and it is intended for the general guidance of individuals only. For advice on your own individual circumstances, please do call the TFA directly and speak to one of our advisors like Lynette. So, welcome, Lynette, and the floor is yours to tell us about public rights of way.
Thank you, George. It's great to have an opportunity to talk about rights of way today, something that we as farmers should all be aware of what our responsibilities are in terms of when rights of way cross our land. So if we can move to the first slide, please. So there's obviously different types of rights of way. We have our simple footpath right of way, which is only to be used on foot only. Our typical issues around footpath rights of way that we see from our members is where the rights of way crosses a field that is cropped during cultivation times, and uneven surfaces can occur, which can cause problems to those users of it. Also, maintaining and upkeeping stiles as well, and ensuring that all users of the rights of way can pass through and over stiles. The second type is our bridle way for on-foot travellers, those on horseback and on bicycles. Given that horses and bikes can use this type of right of way, it's ensuring that it's typical issues we see are ensuring that they have plenty of clearance and the tracks are within the legal widths and the gates are safe for those users to utilise. And then the third right of way to be aware of is the restricted byways. Broader public access rights are available for these, and you must not cultivate these rights of way. So it's really important that you understand what the different types of rights of way are across your land. Next slide, please. The legal responsibilities for farmers is to ensure your routes are open and usable. You are not allowed to block the public right of way permanently or temporarily at all. You must ensure that they are accessible at all times and that hedges, trees, and other vegetation growth from your land do not obstruct those routes. You must keep gates and stiles safe and convenient to use, and you must not put up any misleading or deterring notices. The core duty is simply to not obstruct or discourage the lawful use of those rights of way. Next slide, please. So here's a seasonal checklist for you to ensure that you keep up your legal requirements and responsibilities on those rights of way. Check the define your map. Brief any contractors or operators you have before cultivations occur and identify any crossfield or field edge routes. After cultivations, make sure you reinstate those crossfield routes within the legal timescales and mark the line clearly. The line can be marked purely by wheel marks put across the field. During crop growth, keep the legal width clear and visible and deal with any encroaching crops. before turnout of livestock, risk assess livestock, especially bulls or cows with calves at foot, to ensure they do not present any threat to the users of that rights of way. And throughout the year, you must always inspect the gates and stiles and cut back any of that obstructing vegetation to ensure that access can be gained by the users. Next slide, please. Unfortunately, incidents do occur on rights of way, and it's really important that as farmers, you understand what the action list needs to be if an incident does occur. In the first circumstances, if needs be, contact the emergency services. If the incident is more serious, inform the police, potentially the health and safety executive and your insurance company. Remove any stock that may have been involved in the rights of way. We have had cases where stock have caused damage or injured members of the public using those rights of way. So remove the stock and make sure they're in a secure and safe location. And then ensure that you comply with HSE's investigations and the police going forwards.
Lynette, thanks so much for those really interesting remarks. If I may, just a few questions that I think people might want to know the answers to. So, firstly, can you be clear, what are the legal responsibilities a farmer has when a public right-of-way crosses their land?
So in England and Wales, farmers do have a legal duty, as I have said, to ensure the public rights of way remains open and accessible and safe to use is really key. Keeping those roads clear, ensuring the gates and stiles are safe and usable. Although usually the Highways Authority may contribute to the cost of some maintenance costs, it's good to have a working relationship with them. Where the rights of way cross fields, the route must be reinstated after cultivations. And as I say, you must keep those routes clear from growing crops. You must never discourage public access and must not put up misleading signs, lock gates, or otherwise generally deter people from using your public rights of way. The local highways authority, although you are responsible for a lot of the furniture along the rights of way, will be responsible for the surface of the rights of way. So again, I really encourage everybody to have a working relationship with your local countryside access team.
And I know another question that often gets posed to us by our members is, how can we balance public access with running a safe and productive farm?
Well, I suggest farmers manage this balance by integrating the management of their rights of way into their normal farming practice. The aim is, as I say, to allow the public to use those legal routes while minimising risks to the visitors, your own livestock and your own farming operations. Practical measures, keeping the rights of way clear so that people don't get lost across the farm where they have no legal rights is really important. Using clear but appropriate signage to warn visitors about any temporary hazards, livestock, machinery or ongoing farming operations without discouraging them to use those rights of way. Really important point is to assess and manage the livestock carefully that you put in fields where there are rights of way, particularly cattle, calves, bulls, or animals which are known to be aggressive, potentially suck your cows, let's say. And where necessary, consider separating livestock from those heavier used routes, or maybe consider using alternative fields. Again, on the signage points, use appropriate signage to advise users to keep dogs under control around livestock. And I would suggest you provide clear information about where the public should walk and what their legal responsibilities are to ensure their dog is under control while crossing your farm. Carry out regular risk assessments, even those informal ones, particularly where circumstances have changed. Maybe there's been a rotation of stock in the field, maybe there's cultivations going on. You can just do a visual check, a visual risk assessment, and see whether anything needs to be addressed. And also record actions taken to manage any risks, especially where you know there are potential hazards or there has been a history of incidents. By no means farmers are expected to remove every possibility from the countryside. However, it is important that you do take responsibility and steps to manage foreseeable risks while recognising that a farm remains a working environment.
And very sadly, Lynette, from time to time, things do go wrong. And I know we have supported a number of members in situations where people have sadly got injured or tragically got killed in accessing public rights of way across farmland. And they are difficult and tragic circumstances for everybody. But where does the responsibility ultimately lie when something goes wrong?
Yes, it's very tragic circumstances when an accident or a death does occur on a public right of way. And the responsibility ultimately depends on the individual circumstances of the incident. The fact that the incident happens on a farmer's field, farmer's land, doesn't automatically mean that that farmer is legally liable. Investigators will consider what caused the incident, whether the risk was foreseeable, whether there is reasonable precautions that have been taken place to mitigate that risk. If a serious accident does occur, as I previously said, ensure that the emergency services are called, make the area safe without putting others at risk, and preserve the scene and any evidence that there may be. Farmers should really avoid moving any machinery or equipment in case it causes further injury to anybody involved, and wait for those emergency services to come on site. And as a farmer, sometimes you may be required to kind of help them get on site if it's a remote area. Another good thing to in those instances consider is photographs, livestock records, risk assessments, maintenance records. All of these can be used as evidence to help any sort of investigation that does take place. Key thing that a farmer should do if an incident or death has occurred on the rights of way is contact their insurer as soon as possible, and where appropriate, seek legal advice. And they will need to report the incident to the health and safety executive as well. Responsibility could potentially rest with several parties here, and so it's really important that any farmer does work with those authorities to help them with their investigations, and to bring any sort of incident to a swift conclusion.
Thanks, Lynette. Yeah, really important that we have both responsible and safe public access in our countryside. Now, if you're watching this and you're dealing with any issues like those we have discussed today, why not consider joining the TFA if you're not already a member? Membership starts from just £299 per year, and that will give you access to dedicated advice, information, and support from experts just like Lynette and our wider advisory team. And at a time when farming is becoming more challenging, knowing that you have that specialist support and advice at the end of the phone can be invaluable. So to find out more about the TFA and how we support farmers across England and Wales, have a look at our website, which is www.tfa.org.uk, and you'll find information there about membership, our upcoming events, our latest news, which affects the tenant sector of agriculture. So as I draw to a conclusion, we'd really like to thank Roy Thorne's solicitors once again for sponsoring our 2026 Teach-In series. Roy Thorne's, if you don't know them, is a national law firm. They are steeped in agriculture. They've got over 90 years of experience advising landowners and tenant farmers alike. And their lawyers are also active in farm tenancy policy groups, so they get the bigger picture. So whether it's about a succession or an Agricultural Holdings Act rent review, or a farm business tenancy, a dispute with your landlord, a share farming agreement, or a collaborative natural capital agreement, Roy Thorns is there to help and advise. I hope you found this teach-in useful. Please leave us a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any future teach-ins, webinars, and industry updates. So until the next time, from all of us here at the TFA, thank you for watching.